You know that feeling when you walk into a room and something just feels wrong? Not scary, not creepy, wrong. Like you're not supposed to be there, like something else is. I felt that feeling every single night for 3 months. And by the time I found out what was causing it, I wished I had never opened that hatch. It was supposed to be a simple work trip. My husband, our 1-year-old son, and I needed a place to stay in Washington State for 3 months. We found this beautiful Airbnb online, fully renovated, great reviews, middle of nowhere, which we liked, peace and quiet. The house had a basement, a main floor, and a loft area. In the photos, it looked perfect, cozy, warm, inviting. When we pulled up the driveway, it still looked perfect. The sun was setting behind the trees. I remember thinking, this is going to be amazing. I was wrong. About a week into our stay, I went up to the loft alone. The moment I stepped onto the stairs, I felt it. A cold weight pressing against my chest, like someone was telling me to stop. Don't go up there. I stood at the top of the stairs for a long time. The doorway was right in front of me. Empty, dark, inviting. But every instinct in my body was screaming, don't walk through that doorway. I did anyway. Because that's what people do, right? They ignore their instincts. They tell themselves they're being crazy. I walked into the loft, just an empty room with a window facing the forest, but that feeling never went away. It sat on my shoulders like a wet blanket. Heavy, cold, wrong. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't want him to think I was losing my mind. Meanwhile, my husband was feeling the same thing, but in a different part of the house, the basement. The basement had the living room and the primary bedroom, a big king-sized bed. We decided to sleep down there with our son because we didn't want him alone on a different floor. Every night, my husband would come down the stairs, and every night, right before he rounded the corner into the bedroom, he would stop. He told me later, something was in that room. He could feel it, but every time he walked in, empty room, sleeping baby, silent walls. We didn't talk about it. Both of us thought we were imagining things. Both of us were wrong. 6 weeks into our stay, my parents came to visit. We moved our stuff up to the main floor bedroom. My parents slept in the basement. After they left, we didn't move back down right away. Our son had fallen asleep early upstairs, so we decided to leave him there. We went down to the basement to sleep, just the two of us. That night, something changed. I woke up suddenly. My eyes snapped open. I didn't know why at first. Then I heard it. Footsteps, upstairs, right above our bedroom. I froze, listened. Someone was walking around up there. I shook my husband awake. Shh, I whispered. Listen. We both lay there in the dark. The footsteps continued. Slow, deliberate, moving from one end of the house to the other. Then the footsteps got closer. They were moving toward our son's room. My heart stopped. My husband bolted out of bed. I ran to the window and looked outside. No car in the driveway, no lights, nothing. We ran upstairs, threw open the door to our son's room. He was fast asleep, perfectly still, not a sound. We searched the entire house, every room, every closet, every corner. No one was there, but we both heard the footsteps. We both know what we heard. That was the first night. After that, things got worse. Every night, our son woke up at exactly 3:30 a.m., crying, screaming, terrified. We couldn't calm him down. Nothing worked. A couple of weeks later, I went upstairs to use the bathroom at 6 a.m. Afterward, I lay down in the upstairs bedroom to rest for a minute. That's when I heard it again. Footsteps coming up from the basement, walking across the kitchen floor. I assumed it was my husband going to the bathroom. I texted him, "You awake?" No response. I waited. The footsteps stopped. He never came to the room. An hour later, I went down to the basement. My husband was still in bed. His phone was charging on the nightstand. He hadn't seen my text. "Did you go upstairs just now?" I asked. He looked at me strangely. No, I heard someone walking up the stairs. I thought it was you. You weren't in bed." We both went silent. Someone had been walking in our house at 6 a.m. and neither of us was doing it. I started reading the Airbnb reviews again. I had read them before we booked. They were all positive, but this time I dug deeper. I found the old reviews, the ones from before the renovation. One review caught my eye. A woman wrote, "The owner lives in a garage behind the property. He creeps around at night. We saw him standing outside our window at 3 a.m. Another review, "Something is wrong with this house. We heard footsteps in the basement when no one was down there." Another, "Don't stay here. Just don't." I went outside and looked at the garage. It was 50 feet from the house. The door was closed, but there were fresh tire tracks in the gravel. And the window faced our bedroom. We left the next morning. We didn't pack properly. We just threw everything in the car and drove. On the way out, I looked back at the house. The garage door was open, no car inside, but the light was on, and someone was standing in the doorway. I couldn't see their face, but I could feel them watching. Later, I found out the property had changed hands 3 times in 5 years. No one stayed longer than a few months. No one would say why. Sometimes, late at night, I still hear footsteps. I live in a new house now. No basement, no garage, just me, my husband, and our son. But last week, my son woke up at 3:30 a.m. He pointed at the corner of his room and he said one word, "Man." There was no one there, but the window was open and we live on the 2nd floor. This has been a Verdict Banshee story. The footsteps you hear at night, they might not be your imagination. Subscribe before she cries for you. I worked the night shift at a gas station for 3 years. I've seen drunk drivers, lost travelers, people running from something I couldn't see. But there was one customer I'll never forget, because according to the police, the cameras, and every record we had, he never existed. It was 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. Dead shift. The kind of night where the silence feels heavier than usual. I was behind the counter, watching the security monitor, when I saw headlights pull up to pump number 4. An old sedan, dark blue, maybe black. Hard to tell under those yellow lights. The driver stepped out. Tall man, long coat, hat pulled down low. Nothing unusual about that. People wear strange things at 3 a.m. He walked toward the store, and I heard the bell above the door ring. Ding. I looked up. Nobody was there. I checked the monitor again. The car was still at pump 4. The driver's door was open. But the man, he wasn't on the camera. Not a single frame. I thought maybe the camera was glitching. Old equipment. Happens sometimes. So I walked to the door and looked outside. The car was there. Engine running. Driver's seat empty. But the door was still open, like someone had just stepped out. I called out, "Hello, sir?" No answer. The rain kept falling. The pump light flickered once, twice. Then I heard a voice, behind me, inside the store. "I'll take a pack of Reds." I spun around. The store was empty, same aisles, same flickering ceiling light. But on the floor, right in front of the counter, there was a shadow. A man's shadow, cast by nothing. No body, no legs, just the shadow of a man standing where no man stood. I froze. The shadow moved. It reached toward the counter, like a hand placing something down. Then I heard the voice again, closer this time. I said, "Reds," the soft pack. A pack of Marlboro Reds slid from the shelf behind me across the counter and stopped right at the edge, where the shadow's hand would be. I don't know why I did it. Fear makes you do strange things. I scanned the cigarettes. The register rang up $8.50. The shadow's hand reached into a pocket that wasn't there. A $10 bill appeared on the counter. Wet. like it had been out in the rain. But the man had been inside the store for 2 minutes now. How was his money wet? I took the bill, gave him change, $1.50. The coins floated in the air for a second, then dropped into a palm that didn't exist. The shadow nodded. Then it walked toward the door. I watched the shadow leave. The door swung open. The car door closed. The sedan pulled away. No sound of an engine, just silence. I ran to the door and looked outside. The parking lot was empty. No car, no tire marks, no nothing. Just rain on wet concrete. I stood there for 5 minutes, trying to convince myself I had imagined it. Then I looked down at my hand. I was still holding the $10 bill, but it wasn't a normal bill. It was old, faded. The kind of paper they stopped making in the 90s, and in the corner, someone had written in pencil, "Thanks for the ride, signed M." The next day, I showed the bill to my manager. He laughed, said it was fake, threw it in the trash. But I kept it. I don't know why. That night, I went home and searched online for anything about Pump 4. I found an old newspaper article. October 17th, 1987. A man named Marcus had stopped at that same gas station at 2:47 a.m. to buy a pack of Reds. While he was inside, a drunk driver slammed into Pump 4. The explosion killed Marcus instantly. His body was never found, but his car, his dark blue sedan, was pulled from the wreckage. The driver's door was open, and on the front seat, a wet pack of Marlboro Reds with a $10 bill inside, dated 1987. Sometimes, late at night, when I can't sleep, I still hear that bell, and I wonder who was really driving that car, and where did Marcus go after he paid? Every customer pays, but some have been paying for decades. This has been a Verdict Banshee story. If you heard the bell behind you, don't turn around, subscribe before she cries for you.